Well, there you are. Again, Charlie Greer podcast. I do this every day. Today, so Casey Anthony, crazy perhaps? Question mark. And dog update. But first, let's please like, share, and subscribe. Uh, if you want to support the channel, which you do, the information is in the description for Zelle. Let's do this. So my lighting's really bad today. My lighting's really bad today. Yeah. So I get. You know what? Let's start with the dog update. So if you follow my channel, um, I like saved this dog about a week ago. Well, I've been dealing with him for 10 or 11 days, but he I finally got him in for like 4 nights. He was sleeping on my patio and on my porch, freezing. I put out water and food. He wouldn't let me get near him. Um, so uh, I finally lured him in. He let me pet him on the fourth night, so I pet him. And then I lured him in the house. It took me like 45 minutes, and I got it close enough past the perimeter of the door. Then I closed the door. Then I had it, and he was a cool dog. He immediately started acting friendly, and you know, he was a sweet little dog. I was calling him Shep. So anyway, I found Shep's owner. I found the owner of the dog, and his name was Buddy, not Shep. So, and she was happy to find. She lived alone, and something was going on, and so she was driving around, and I could tell how he was reacting to her that she was the owner. And I remember seeing her in the neighborhood. I've seen her. So yeah, Shep, Buddy, whoever. I hope he's doing good, and I can relax now, man. It's tough. He was a handful. He was a handful. He was kind of crazy. And speaking of crazy, crazy Anthony. I mean Casey Anthony. Crazy perhaps? Question mark. So yeah, they had this new documentary about crazy Casey Anthony, um, who, if you don't know the story, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, uh, they couldn't find her daughter. She said she was staying with like a babysitter or something, and long story short, her daughter was missing, and then they found the remains of her daughter in the woods near the parents' house where she was living, and Casey Anthony was lying about everything, and oh my god, and uh, went to trial, and she got off. She got not guilty, not about being crazy or nothing, just not enough proof to. So now they've got this new documentary series about her in the case, and she's literally like blaming her father, you know, um, which, in my humble opinion, both sides could be true. Meaning she could have done this, and also the stuff that was going on with her father could have been. Because my experience in life, I'm in my 50s. When people are lying, they'll mix the truth. Governments do this too. That's what disinformation is. Disinformation is just all the truth except like 90% of the truth and 10% of a lie. It's hard to figure it out. Um, so that's my humble opinion, my gut feeling is she's telling the truth about, well, she's lying still, but I think that she did do what, and then her father may have, um, so let's get into this. So, when I was I started watching it. Now this is the thing. It's like, man, it was hard for me to watch. Like I'm an empath, I guess. I can just pick up on people. It's like, oh no. Um, you can tell she's had some trauma in her life. And all over the internet, they're like, man, she's hot. I'd be dating her. Come on. It's like uh mentally ill. I've dated beautiful mentally ill women. So I know sometimes they're beautiful. Nobody that's the thing. It's like if they're really pretty, then it's hard to get across how crazy they are. They could be acting batshit crazy, but look at she's so beautiful. You know, um, if you're ugly and acting crazy, well, hell, fine. But if you're fine and you got, it's tricky. I've dated a few too. I don't know, Because I'm under the, again, my humble opinion is we all got a little crazy in us. We all do. It's just how you handle it, how you deal with it. And if you don't want to go down that road, or, you know, some people more than others, you know. I think everybody every family has somebody that's like, "Goo, goo," you know. And again, we all are a little off. If you say, "Oh no, not me," then you're the crazy one. You know, you have to work on yourself, do personal inventories, this, that, and the other thing. Use your faith, have some character. Character, in my opinion, is what you do when others aren't around. You know, that's what I was brought up to do. You know, because people front. They're all like, "Hi," in public. Then you get it, man. If you could see what they're doing behind the, oh my god. So I, it's hard to watch her. I can tell that she's putting on a, I studied acting, and within that, you have to, like, when you really get in your acting, it's more like psychology and picking people up and knowing how to read people, which I already know how to do. Something's up with her. So you know what? I started looking around. I found a body language expert to, I would rather watch that than the documentary. These body language, you can't, you can take that to the bank. They study psychology, they study body language. I also know how to read body language. There's tells that people do. You can't get around them. We all do them. There's certain things you do when you're lying. There's certain things you do, when you're false sympathy, false empathy. You'll raise your eyebrows high when you're trying to be sympathetic, and it's a lie. Oh yeah, I mean, there's just certain things. But anyway, so I started watching the Casey Anthony with the body language commentary, what have you. And they're dead on, picking up what I was picking up, like she's doing a lot of this, like squinting her nose into her teeth. That's a deception. That's a tell. That's saying it. Basically, what she's saying is like, look, I don't want to deal with this, but I got to keep up this act. So and I'm pissed about it. So I'm just gonna, you don't do that. You don't know. That's deception. Maybe she should have looked up on some body language before she did this. However, I'm also picking up like trauma. Like maybe she did, if you're traumatized, if she's saying what happened with her and her father is true, then it might traumatize someone. You might become a sociopath, narcissist, psychopath. And you might do something to someone you love without even, you'll just freak out. Like a reactionary crime. You just react. Normally you wouldn't do something like that, but then it's like, and especially if she was party girl, she lives in Florida, out and about, drinking, you're dehydrated, you're hungover, you might snap on your kid. People do that on different levels, but it's just like, since maybe she went overboard, and I'm not going to get into the details of what she said about her and her father and this and the other and her brother and her, it's creepy, it's dark. And hey, pray for her and pray for her family. I mean, spread the blood and blessing. I mean, it's an arduous task getting through this world, especially if you're from a family of crazies. You just create your own misery. And I can't believe somebody hasn't came forward and like helped her. Maybe they are. She needs some kind of psychological, at least evaluation. Like some people are like, hey man, because they see this. If that's what you do, if that's what you're around, then you'll know it. You'll spot it. Like, it's like a cook that cooks 1,000 hamburgers a month or whatever, or a million in his lifetime. They'll know when to flip that burger. They just know. Same thing with whatever you do. Same thing with, she is telling a tall tale. I mean, tall. Like, and again, with the scrunchy nose and the, again, she's crying. So it's like, there is some kind of, but that could be crying for herself. I mean, crazy people do a lot of, crazy things. And here's how I see it. Who's the one that started with all these lies? It was her. She was lying. She was so bold with her lying that she like took them. She's like, "Oh, I work at Walt Disney," and she took them through the gates and said, "Oh, my office is back here." No, she didn't have no office. And people were like, "What the? Who was she?" They finally get back like, "Oh, I was lying." Like that's a sociopath that does that. You know, she lied about everything. She came up with fictional characters, fictitious places. Um, you couldn't even keep up with it. Her car smelled like decomposing, just hay. I mean, they had a dog sniffing. You can't fake some of that stuff. Well, it was garbage. No, dogs will know garbage. They know they're trained again to smell like decomposing bodies. They'll know. Okay. And her mother was the one that popped all this off. She's like, I haven't seen my granddaughter in a month. And so Casey's story is her father did it. Her father smothered the child, her daughter, then put her in the pool, and then it's again when people are lying and making up like this fantasy and delusional kind of shit, it gets pretty complicated. When in reality, when people are telling the truth about trauma stuff like that, it's pretty simple. You don't weave this yarn. That's another tell. It's like all these details, like, huh? So some things you're saying you didn't like. She was like, I didn't know I was, but then you have all these details that you say that's, in my humble opinion, like, that's not good. That's dishonesty. That's lying. She's lying. That's just my humble opinion. Now, granted, she could be mixing in like some truth here. She could be like, yeah, this was going on and this and that with my father, my brother, whoever, you know. But I just don't see, it seems like the mother, for one, it's a tough, pray for the family here, it's tough. But with and also when she was in jail, like they showed footage of her, she just wanted to get my boyfriend's number. She was acting like a man, she bitch face, resting bitch face, and just, sorry, man, you're in jail for the murder of your daughter. I don't want to talk to my boyfriend. When her daughter was missing, she was out and about, partying, getting a tattoo. Now, I know how trauma works. That might be a compensation for, but I also know that, like, if you're mourning, that's, yeah, my gut feeling is saying that, again, my gut feeling is saying that she is lying and telling the truth. Like it's a mixture. I don't know exactly what's what, but I feel that like that's what people will do. They'll bring up a little, well, maybe I'll talk about this, and then that distance them, that puts a little barrier between them and the crime. She needs to be like something. Like maybe you can go to a psychiatrist, a therapist, something. Even for the simple fact of like she lost her daughter. That's traumatic. You need to get some therapy. Has she? Are they? And then like recently, the last week or two, she was seen like on stage dancing at a Steel Panther concert. Granted, everybody loves Steel Panther. I mean, I don't own any of their albums, but I think they're funny. I get it. They're like a mock like hair band. They've done pretty good for themselves. I can remember in LA, they were back in the day. They were called, what were they called? And anyway, I used to run into those guys. She was at a Steel Panther concert, which it kind of is cool. I hate to say that, but for her to be a Steel Panther, but maybe she's just partying with friends, and they got up on stage. That's a narcissist, see? Not everybody gets up on stage. They invite girls in a certain part of the show, pardon me, to dance and frolic. And they don't even know if it's her. I mean, it looks like her. In my humble opinion, I think it is her. Doing the same stuff. See, that's another thing. It's like you know, you're still out and about. Has she changed her name? Does she go by when she goes out? She uses like a fake name. Oh, Kathy or something. Because if you go around, I'm Casey. Everybody's going to know, especially in Florida. You know, come on. Uh, or is it that she's like this because she's attractive? Is it just because I'm just a hottie that I can, you know? Again, hot and crazy is a bad mixture. And smart. If you're hot, crazy, and smart, oh my god. I mean that's trouble. Again, I've had relationships with beautiful, smart, crazy people, women. Um, and the strange thing, I can stay friends with a lot of people, like just because you're not, you know. But sometimes it's like, well, I started dating this one girl back in the day, and she's like, "Wait for the crazy," and we were around friends. I was like, "What do you mean, wait for the crazy?" And they're like, her friends were there, and my friends are like, "Oh yeah, she, you know." I was like, "Well, then when you start going crazy, you're saying you are. Can you remember this? Can you remember the warning that you gave me? So you're not going to blame me because that's what you usually do, create a situation that you." Of course, that's what happened. She started going crazy and like blaming me for just out of nowhere. Like one night we'd be having, you know, be fine and go to bed and then wake up and what's that noise? Like she's not there. Go downstairs and like I'm painting the kitchen at like 4 in the morning. Like, what are you doing? You're lazy. You're not helping me paint. Like, whoa! Like, when did you think about paint? Didn't you already paint the kitchen? You know, just you know, you know. And then there was a pattern where and I couldn't deal with it. I had to break it off. Of course, she badmouthed me to everybody, and then they kind of believed her. And then finally, they're like, "Oh, I lied about Charlie," and you know. Um, and she had crazy family. I'm not going to name any names, but um, yeah. So you know, again, and also just like living life, and somehow certain people can get away with more crazy than others. You know, but it's this pattern you got to see. Like police will know this. You know, the one girlfriend that I dated who was, you know, beautiful, smart, well educated, had good jobs, and went crazy, literally like living on the street crazy. Uh, she had a record. The cops knew. They're like, oh, her, okay. And she was known for blaming others for stuff. And I didn't even know this. And the cops were like, oh, her, okay, wait. And then when we split up, she kept on going, doing it. And I'd look her up and see what was going on because I felt sorry for her. There was court cases, like she was being sued. She tried to sue someone else. She ruined their home. All this, locked herself in the room, saying they're going to attack her when they were, you know, mental illness. And it's sad. You can't reach people. I've tried to help people, and it's just like there's no. They need professional help. Casey Anthony might be, I'm not saying she is, she might be like criminally insane. Or there's people that are like, they're criminally insane. Their prisons are full of them. If we had any mental health facilities anymore, they'd be in there, but some of them are, but they've closed a lot of the mental health hospitals. There's criminally insane people. And then if you put them in jail and you don't give them any help, they're just going to get worse. I have a feeling, and I know this sounds, but I have a feeling she's going to do something else. They usually do. They usually, it's a pattern. It's like on a quilt, like this repeating kind of like pattern. That's what will, any kind of repeating pattern will. People do it too. And if they're, again, like clinically and legally insane, which I can't believe she hasn't been, you know, wouldn't a lawyer, somebody who represent her or something want to, maybe not. I have a feeling she's probably going to write a book because she went hard on her family. She went hard on her father, who's ex-law enforcement. And she was like, man, threw him under the bus. Like it's uncomfortable to. And again, I'm not going to say. You can go watch the documentary. And also comment below. What do you think? What do you think about Casey Anthony? Is she crazy, Anthony? Is she a victim? A mixture of both, kind of how I feel. Perhaps speculation, assumption. I don't know. And I would also, I forgot the name of the body language expert, but I would recommend watching this body language expert video first, and then maybe watch the documentary. Because body language, man, it's a thing. And people, even if you are a mindset of like, hey, I need to watch my body language, you'll still do these tells, these ticks that people do. We all do. And I know people are like, oh no, not me. I can, yeah, you, me, you, everybody. It just depends on how insane and crazy you are. Again, some of us, all of us, I should say, have a little bit of crazy in us. Look at this world we live in. We live in a crazy world. You get anxiety, depression. You get, it's how you deal with it. It's not what happens to you. It's how you react to it. It's how you deal with it. Some people are reactionary. They do not think things out. They don't have any foresight. And then they literally, that's also a pattern. They're just looking for something to, and people like literally, if you're like in a circle of people talking or at a table and one of them brings up something like in their life and someone else who doesn't know anything about it, then they're reacting like angrily, more so than the person that's talking. That's a tell. See, people are looking for stuff to be mad about. They'll never admit it. If you film them and video them and show it back to them, they're like, oh, I don't act that way. They'll deny even. There's a lot of people like that. And then there's certain degrees of that. There's the extreme, and then there's the, people are delusional. They don't even know. They'll be, not me. And I've said this before in my podcast. I used to teach vocal lessons, singing lessons. I'd have a new student, and they're like, can I film myself? Can I? Yeah, go ahead. Take their phone. I wouldn't even touch their phone. Put it on the little stand. I had that music stand there for them. And they, of course, they want to learn in a lesson. They want to sing like Whitney Houston, in an hour. That's another delusion. And then, they're flat. They are off key. Their breathing's off. And then when they're finished, I'd be like, well, no, won't we do a few more? But no, I want to see it now. I want to see how good I am. Like, well, I wouldn't. And then they watch it. That's not me. I don't sound like that. What did you do to my phone? Your phone? I didn't touch your phone. What did you do? It's like when it first started, I was like, what am I dealing with here? Most of the time they'd storm off and blame me. You've only been here 20 minutes, half an hour. The lesson's an hour. And I'd walk them to the car like, look, I try to talk them off the ledge. Like, don't you think if it was so easy, a one lesson, everybody would be Whitney Houston? Don't you think that if it was so easy just to take one lesson, you're a star? That's not how it happens. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. Well, you're just not a good teacher. That's not even me. Not even you. Who is it then? Again, you've been here 20 minutes. So this is not like violent or criminal. It's just that people are like that. People are like that. I've had a bunch of clients like that. A bunch. And the funny thing is, some of them would pick the same song. They would want to learn a Whitney Houston, "I Will Always Love You." Would you have to change key at the end? You have to go really high. Well, you're not going to do it in 1 hour. Well, I just go to someone else. Go. Sometimes I'd have people come back. But you would not believe how many people came to me, different ages, different ethnicities, wanting to do the same thing. That Whitney Houston song, "I Will Always Love You," which is actually a Dolly Parton song. And expect me to teach them how to be like this amazing vocalist, like within 20, 30, half an hour, Um, I had clients like literally like, well, it's just you don't know what you're doing. And I'm going to go, I found there's a guy, there's a person, when American Idol was a show, they had a vocal coach that charged 500 an hour to get a lesson. You had to wait in line. You had to like book it in advance. And I'd always tell people like, hey, just don't work, go out there, go find, shit. I did too. And pay the $500, wait a month or two, get in there, and then they're broken down, like not even let you sing, just it's just like a verbal abuse session. Then come back to me, like, man, she was horrible, or he was horrible, and then I spent all this money, and they wouldn't even sing in front of me. That's another thing, and I learned this about, again, people are delusional that it's a con. They'd ask like, well, can you sing? Most of my clients like, well, I want to hear you sing, and I would like, oh, you can sing. So we're like, oh no, I'm not going to sing. I can just teach. It's like, huh? So I think that's what Casey Anthony is doing. I think she's doing exactly the same thing as some of these delusional people I've dealt with. And these people, you work in criminality. If you're in the, law enforcement, you see this. It's a pattern. You see the same thing. But these people think, oh no, not me. And they don't realize, they're too delusional to realize that, man, these people know what they're doing. They've studied. They keep the studying. They go to this, and that, and the other thing, and training, and blah, blah, blah. They know. They can read you like a book. It's not even a book. It's like a pamphlet, like a one-page, like fast food pamphlet. They just know. Oh, no. And people don't. So my humble opinion, I think that Casey Anthony is telling the truth and lying. And I have a feeling she's going to write a book. And I have a feeling that something else might happen. Why? Again, this is my humble opinion. Why? Because that's the pattern. That's the recipe. You just don't, and she's went off the ledge as far as like her delusional stuff. It could be bad. And then she'll lie about that. I have a feeling something's going to. I wonder if she's got money. I wonder if she's like got book deals and this, that, and the other, and conned like rich guys who think she's hot or whatever. That would also be a step in the part of the recipe, part of the pattern. Maybe she already has. Maybe a few, and they just don't want to talk about it. Like, oh my God, I don't want anybody to know I fell in love with that crazy girl and she broke my heart and took my money. I mean, could that be? Is the next documentary a slew of men that they all look like her father? Could be, perhaps. Again, speculation, assumption. I'm just, and I'm not a true crime podcast. I'm all over the place. But I found this fascinating. Like I saw the part of the documentary and I stopped watching. I was like, you know what? I want to see I always go to the body language people. They're right on. They are right on. If you're ever going to do a crime, and you think you can get away with it, you need to start working on your body language, which is uncontrollable. It's like instinct. It's going to be hard, but at least try, I guess. Again, comment below. What do you think? Criminally insane, a victim of the worst order, a mixture of both, perhaps. I'm interested to hear what people think. And I feel for her, even her, if she's crazy, you gotta have sympathy for people, man, empathy. And her daughter, pray for her daughter, her family, everybody, law enforcement, everybody's, pray for all of us. Cause this affects, again, if you don't care, but human behavior, our society, unfortunately, this is part of the soup of life. We're all in that. It's just how you react to it. It's how you can when people come, it's like, right. Don't react. See, people are always looking to react, and see people, you don't even own your own life when you're reactionary like that, especially when strangers set you up. Of course, it happens to all of us. You're in a good mood. You get in your car. You're going to run a few errands. Right off the bat, people are cutting you off and honking, and you go to the grocery store and some woman screams at you for no reason. I get it. It's easy to go down that road where you're just like, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, you know, say a mantra, a prayer, have faith. Because if you don't, it's like strangers and people have remote control and they can control you. They can set you off. Those people are easy to control too. You wouldn't think, but it's when you keep people scared or mad, well, they're easy to control. Society does that. Intelligence games do that. That's what they come on. Hollywood, they all. You know, you gotta know a little bit of psychology to be happy in life and be able to, you know, pinpoint that and see it for what it is and not internalize it. We're like, oh no. So comment below. What do you think? And again, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, which you do, the information is in the description for Zelle. And I do this every day. And I'm going to start doing it like twice a day sometimes. I might have like a special Friday, Saturday. And I'm going to start doing my music too. Just me and my guitar. A lot of my friends, people, like followers I've gotten to know are like, man, you got to be playing more guitar, which I should be. But again, I don't want to mix too much in, but I miss performing. And I'm going to start performing out, like, you know. But why not on my podcast? Hey. So look, I'll be back tomorrow. Rant like a madman. So I love y'all. Be blessed. Cheers.